My poor tea cabinet needs organizing. This is all I have left of my old tea. I've just got 2 maples, and that's the only flavored tea I have. I got it because I had a craving for some lattes in a big pot, and I have some pea flowers. I'm not sure what to do with. And here is my new stash that I get to get into. It doesn't come over here until I've done a recent testing. I know, I am so overly organized. So here's the teas I have yet to taste. You know, I don't like it when people do tea haul videos. It's like this, spread out, and it's almost like against my moral beliefs to be bragging about how much stuff I have. I just don't like them. I don't like any kind of haul videos. I don't know what it is about it, but I wanted to show you mine, to show you my process. So I've got these I have yet to taste, and once I taste them and do my video and do my journal notes, I'll put them in little jars and mark them and put them into my shelf where I can grab whatever I want each day. I also take those little jars to work with me. But the problem is, I love the white bowl. Which one of these shall I try today? I can really only try teas on weekends because it takes me so long to study about them and before I even take my first taste. Okay, here's the tea I chose, and the reason I chose it is I'm getting ready to do a chat today on the Ripe Puer through Zoom. So I want to be drinking this kind of tea during the chat. And this one is fun. I kind of wanted to mix it up and not do all the fun ones in the beginning, but I'm excited about it. So there's 3 of these in here. Look at these crazy balls. So I got me 3 little, I went ahead and got my big tray. This is what I usually serve on. And so I usually serve company on this, and it's got paint chips on it. It needs to be repainted. But I'm using it anyway. So these are the fun little balls. And I'm wondering to myself, how do I brew this? So it has this plastic outer wrapper with some print on it. And so I'm taking the tissue paper wrapper off and getting my first glimpse. I've seen pictures of them. Isn't this super cool? I may have to get my camera out and take some pictures. Can you believe this is tea? So I'm wondering how to brew this. I could take the whole thing and put it in my gaiwan. It does fit in there. But what would happen, I mean, how would the tea get the water in there to infuse, and how would it expand? I'm not sure that's the best method. So this is actually a little lid, and you can take the tea out. So I could take all the tea out and not use the tangerine at all, because I think the tangerine was just for ripening it. Or I could take some of the tea out and then add break up this tangerine part and put it in there. So you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking I get to play. I've got 3 of these. I can do them any way I want. I can do them different each time. I love to play. I do so love to play. See which way is the best. So I watched some YouTube videos, And most of the people take the leaves up, break it all out. I even saw one lady put it in a baggie and break it up. And she had, she said 3 or 4 different sessions. So this can get a lot of sessions out of it. And then I watched another video where they actually took this and they poked holes, 4 holes in the side, and then brewed the whole thing this way, which that would answer the question of how you get liquid in it to have it steep, because if you don't get the liquid in it and allow it to expand. So I may try that with one of these other balls, since my tray is already messed up here. It already has where it needs some painting. I'm just going to use this and break it up right here. So it's hard to hold on to this and film me doing it, but I just stuck this in here and immediately tea started falling out. So I think this is gonna be easier than it seems. See, look at that. It's just falling apart. How cool is that? Look at all that tea in there. So I broke the rest of it up with my finger. I took that chunk out and put it in my gaiwan, and I added some more just by putting this up here and flicking it with my finger. And I've got it, I think, about 1/3 in my gaiwan, so I will get 3 steeps out of it. That's kind of cool. So I looked it up and I paid $6.50 for all 3 balls. So if I get 3 sessions out of 1 tangerine, that's 9 different times I can brew tea, or 72 cents. That's a great price. Let's see, if I only get 2 out of each, I'm going to divide that by 6. And that's $1.08 per session, which is still really, really good. So okay, here's the color of the liqueur. And you can see in my cup, it looks rather dark. I did the second steep longer, and look at this liqueur. Look how dark it is. That's pretty amazing. I'm telling you, I already like this. I've done 1 tasting. You have to wait for my notes. So I took my spoon and stirred it up when it was brewing the 3rd steep, and the leaves were still not all broken up out of the tangerine, but now they are. And look at this color. Now it's changed from a cedar color to a walnut color. This is the first time I've ever gotten a walnut color out of a tea. Okay, I just had a very long tea chat on Zoom and quite enjoyed it. And I have steeped this tea many times. I want to say at least 15 times. And look, it's still coming out dark, although it is finally tasting weaker. But I need to go do my notes and share them with you. So here's the name of the tea. It's Gong Ting. Let me get this thing scrolling here. Gong Ting Puer in Tangerine Golden Horse 8685 ripe tea. So we'll start with the golden horse and the numbers. So what I've determined that to be, we're going to skip down here real quick. The producer is the Golden Horse brand. And so that is the brand. And this is probably, the next one, the batch they make will probably be 8686. So I looked up Gong Ting, and this is what it means: imperial court or courtyard. That is the part of the palace where the emperor actually lived. In context, a shu, it says pu'er cha. This indicates high quality tea made from the smallest leaf grade. And I looked up gong, and it says tribute traditionally to the emperor. And I looked up ting, and it said don't know. So I found that funny, that it could find Gong Ting, but not Ting by itself. I know I have had Tong Ting before, and that's a Taiwanese. So it's a learning process for me. So I looked it up online, Google it, and from a place called planetteas.com, it said it means emperor's court. So this pu'er is worthy to be served in the emperor's court. What makes this pu'er considered the emperor's pu'er? Gong Ting tea is made with golden tips or buds of Yunnon tea because the leaves are delicate. The tea does not undergo the wuxi or the moistening process, which they earlier in their article called composting for other shu teas. For a full 2 months instead, the time is halved. The result is a delicate pu'er with thin, long needles and produces a very refreshing flavor. This did not have long needles. This pu'er is an easier way for American drinkers to come to enjoy pu'er. So I got this from Yunnon Sourcing. There's today's date. It's a pu'er. And then we get down to the origin, and the website says Golden Horse brand from Yunnan City Tea Company. So I tried finding Yunnan City, and man, did the Google search results. They were all over the place. They had trouble finding Yunnan City. And in fact, they put Yunnan together into one word, like that. Finally, I found one that I thought worked, and it's right here. China, Guangdong Province. I don't even want to say these. Jingmen, because I'm principality, and then the Yunnan City. So I believe that's it. And then I found another website that mentioned 2 mountains in Yunnan City. And there was the most prominent one. So I had kind of confirmation, and so I looked it up, and here it is down here, Guangdong Province. So that's where it is located at in China. That was a little difficult. Processing. This is an aged tea, and of course, since it's a shu, it's an imitate of the unique flavor of sheng. You've seen these in my other notes if you've watched my videos. So shu means cooked, or it's a sped up process by modern day technology to get it to be ripe. So this is a ripe pu'er, which means it's fully fermented. It would take up to a minimum of 15 years for a sheng pu'er to become ripe. So this word is associated with shu pu'er more often than anything else, which is the accelerated method. Okay, so here's my notes, and I already talked about how was I going to brew it? Most of the YouTube videos I watched did it as I did. They broke it up, put a little bit of the rind in there from the tangerine, and I definitely, with as many steeps as I've gotten, definitely I'm going to get at least 3 sessions, 3 different days out of that one tangerine ball, which is really awesome. Another video poked 4 holes around the edge of the tangerine and brewed the entire thing. So I think that that is probably for smaller tangerines. They looked a lot smaller than the one I got. But that would allow the water go into the rind and, get into the tea leaves in order to brew it by poking the holes. This is what it says on the website. It doesn't say too much. It's been stuffed into the rind of a whole tangerine. The leaves were stuffed and wet, then allowed to dry in the sun for about a week. That's cool. The smell and taste of citrus is very present in this tea. If you want extra citrus taste, break some of the dried tangerine rind and brew together with the tea, which is what I did. So here's the colors, and you saw them in the video already, but there's your spectrum, and you see we first decided it was cedar. Yeah, it's truly a dark, rich color. And then by the 3rd steep, it had changed all the way to walnut, and I have never had a tea before have a walnut color being the darkest. My husband kept comparing it to coffee, the color of coffee. So that was cool. I was happy to have something new on the color spectrum. Aroma flavor. I really loved smelling this tea, and I definitely got the fruit being the rind. When it was dry and I broke it up a little bit, I didn't get much of a scent, but the wet smelled very much like orange rind, not orange, that I can buy in the spice section of my local store, for baking. I handed it to hubby to smell, and by the time he gave it back, the orange aroma was so much more prominent and came through so much more strong, and I absolutely loved it. I did not smell much of what I was expecting was the earthy smell of the tea, of the pu'er, that I've gotten in other shoe pu'er, and I did not smell that. Body was full. I don't get full body very often, but it was a very pleasant, because there was no astringency. It was such a smooth tea, which is so awesome. I really like that. And the taste, I went with wooded, and these are the wooded and the fruit. Those are my tags for aroma, but I went ahead and stuck them in here on taste because, as strange as it seems, I don't know if it was subliminal, like the color up here, I had decided it was the cedar color, and it tasted like cedar to me. It tasted wooded. It tasted like a pine cone would taste. You know what pine cones smell like, which is a wooded smell. It wasn't really pine cone, it was cedar, like a cedar. Do cedar trees have pine cones? But if I smelled a pine cone, it just, that walking down a trail, maybe I'm identifying with some trails that I've had with cedar trees. But that's what it tasted like. It was weird that I could taste like that and not smell like that. And it was very interesting that it wasn't earthy like in the other shoes. It was definitely wooded. I was very intrigued by that. It was similar. I got similar to my other shoes that I've had, but it was different, and I liked it. Now the second steep, I had more of the tangerine, and I had steeped it longer, and It sure does good coming out of the gaiwan. So I had the gaiwan sitting in front of me, and it was just wafting out of the gaiwan, that smell, as I was tasting it. And it was just a wonderful experience altogether. Just wonderful. So the finish, definitely lingering and aromatic in the tangerine rind. So after you swallow, it just lingers on with the tangerine. But I did put the rind in the tea. So I'm wondering, if I don't put the rind in the tea, if I would get that. So that's interesting. I'll have to play with that later. I also spent some time taking photos, and I spent so much time with the chat that I haven't been able to get the photos into my notes to share them as I did before. So tomorrow I'll get those photos out and share those. So I gave it 5 hearts. I really liked this tea. I really did. It was very unique, and I really liked it, and my husband really liked it. And but to be a 5 heart instead of 4, I would want to keep it on hand, and I decided that I'd want to keep it on hand as something to share with guests. I mean, not many people have had tea that come out of a tangerine rind. So it would be really fun for a tea party, or time with guests, to show them something unique and exciting. So you would want to keep it on hand in case the guests arrived.